Fanatec finally releases something new that isn't a refresh of the Club Sport Formula wheel. This is the Porsche Vision GT, a wheel that you've probably seen somewhere else. The Porsche Vision GT was sent by Fanatec for review, and I also have an affiliate link with them below. As always, all opinions are my own. This new wheel is essential for Fanatec to bring them out of the dark ages because they haven't really released anything new in wheels since basically 2021. If you discount, of course, the Bentley wheel that was shown for like 2 or 3 years and took them like 3 years to bring to market. But a bit of story about this wheel. Back in 2021, Porsche released the Porsche Vision GT for Gran Turismo 7, a full car to be integrated in the game and with full interior, including this wheel. Fanatec licensed it, picked it up, and then transformed it for sim racing, keeping most of the design cues intact. It is definitely a pretty wheel, but not as pretty as subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get 100,000. As in terms of prices, once again, this is a CSL Elite, not a CSL, so not entry level, but not top level. It is 349 euros or $439. But in terms of US dollars prices, well, the prices will depend on where we are on the tariff roller coaster. So this wheel, which is called, at least officially, the Fanatec CSL Elite. I need to read the rest here. Fanatec CSL Elite Steering Wheel Porsche Vision GT. This is an officially licensed Porsche wheel made with an automotive aluminum core inside. And in terms of handles, it has plastic handles. And then they use a new wrapping material that they call Tectaris. Fanatec says it is, and I'm quoting here, our new premium microfiber material. It is Alcantara. In terms of buttons, there are 8 buttons, 6 in the middle, 2 at the top. Then we have 4 rotary buttons, 2 at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions and 2 of them a little bit below. 7-way funky switch and also a 12-way rotary switch that can be used as bidirectional if you want it via the software. In the back, we also see 2 magnetic shifters, really pretty good ones, and also the QR2 light. There's a little bit to talk about just later. We need to talk about firmware and drivers. I'm using this as a tester as well, and in order to run this, I need the new software that they have, which is 465 Revate, which I don't believe it is publicly available. Running this software, and this might change when the wheel is launched, running this software means that you need to delete the new type of software and then go back to the old type software, which will be the one that you've seen for years. There is an issue though with AC and ACC. If you run AC and ACC without Fanatec that would be integrated with the new software, it won't have any telemetry on any wheel whatsoever. For Le Mans Ultimate, Assetto Corsa Evo, and also Forza, which I've tried, the telemetry works without Fanatec, so does Gran Turismo 7. And of course, we need to use this wheel and pay a little more attention because, after all, it is a more gimmicky wheel. The construction, it is solid. When I grabbed it, it was apparent how sturdy it is and how rigid it felt. And even though this is a CSL wheel, there is a vast difference between the quality of the construction and finishing between that and something like this P1 V2 wheel that I bought like, I don't know, 3 years ago, and I've never reviewed it. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a review of this. And that sturdiness is felt, the rigidness to torque and, to movement side by side. There is definitely a massive difference between this that also uses the QR2, and the QR2 is unlocked to maximum power, to something like this Fanatec GT Extreme wheel that also is unlocked. There is a massive difference in terms of the way that the sturdiness is felt. Compared to the Porsche wheel, the Extreme wheel just feels many steps below this Porsche wheel. As for the Tectaris, which is Alcantara, how is it going to be if this new version of Alcantara is better and more resistant? Well, that will need, several months or several weeks of heavy use, which I didn't have to know how caked it's going to be, if you can clean it in the same way. If it were for me, I would much rather have some sort of letter here, letterette, fake letter, whatever you want to call it, other than this type. But in terms of tactile feel, it does feel very plush. It does feel a little bit better than Alcantara, even though this is Alcantara. The end positions are actually fantastic, at least for most functions. The middle and top half are 100% covered without any jiggling around. The access to those buttons is easy and well within the arc of the thumb. The shifter position is comfortable, the access to the top rotaries is great, and there's no function overlap or way to the buttons getting caught, for example, that like it happens with the Mazda KS. The 7-way funky switch isn't bad to access at all when you have your hand engaged, and also this little button over here, it is a bit of a gimmick. It activates the menu system for the wheel. The bottom of the wheel is another story though. These two rotaries over here, they're a little bit out of reach, and these two rotaries over here, they are also a little bit out of reach, but generally this is the case with pretty much every single GT wheel that has multiple rotaries. And then there's this little OLED screen at the worst possible place, which is the bottom right. As for the buttons, I think they're fantastic. They have just the right amount of force for every specific button. These on the center have a really good engagement. These two on the top require quite a lot of force, so you have to put some force, and then there's like an engagement. You don't feel like an overlap or a lot of travel. The rotaries are absolutely fantastic in terms of engagement. They have just around the amount of force. The shifters, or these rotaries at the bottom as well. The 7-way funky switch will probably be the worst button that is available here, but it's not too bad. For 7-way, it works pretty well. And then on the back, some of the best shifters that I found around. Fanatec has a knack of doing shifters, and this shifter, it is quite loud, but has a satisfying sound. In terms of engagement of this shifter, essentially what it is, it has a lot of force at the start and then a very short throw. You need to be deliberate with the shifters, which is something that I like. It's not floating in the middle, which sometimes will leave you with double shifting or misshifting or something like that. So I really like these shifters. The ergonomics of the wheel are pretty good most of the times, and since we were talking about the Extreme wheel, the Extreme has more useful ergonomics for all the buttons, but the Vision is essentially a more GT type of wheel, and I've used it as such. That means that some secondary systems like KERS or power delivery could be left in this lower types of rotaries, while the most important ones that you need to have access more frequently, like traction control or brake bias, I would assign this to here, or I would leave this also to more important, because these two are a little more difficult to engage, at least in my experience. So that means, at least for the 4 bottom, or these two on the bottom, I would assign this kind of stuff to systems that you would need to change while you are on a straight line, and you wouldn't need to change it corner by corner. It is compatible with Gran Turismo and the PlayStation, but I found that the usability isn't that good as the Extreme wheel or the one with the DD Pro, because these rotaries, and even these ones, they always feel that are hanging in just one specific set of settings, in this case the traction control, and I couldn't find any way to change it to weather or the traction control or something like that on the fly like you can do with the other wheels. I believe that either Gran Turismo or this wheel will require a software update to make it more seamless. Well, the wheel is comfortable, it's ergonomic, I really like the buttons, but there are a couple of niggles here that are much due to the design of Porsche, and one of them will be the lack of rev lights. That could be very, very useful. Just a small rev light strip that would be incredibly useful. And the second one I have to say is that this OLED screen viewing angle of this is also not the best, and you really need to squint, and most of the times you're gonna have a very bad position to see what the LED is doing. So essentially this LED screen is really not that practical. Pretty good wheel. I hope that Fanatec brings this same type of logic and build into new wheels, and they really need new wheels, and they bring something that replaces the McLaren wheel and maybe a new version of Formula One esports wheel that doesn't feel as dated as it does now.